Hello everyone, I'm Claude Alexander and you're watching the Mythology channel. In today's episode, you will learn about the ways in which Greek mythology affects modern culture. You will also learn about how the mythology has been present throughout history. We will show you how much of your life is affected by Greek mythology. Let's start by talking about Greek mythology's effect on art and architecture over the years. Ancient Greek sculptures were focused on being detailed and anatomically accurate. The human body was valued aesthetically by the ancient Greeks. One reason for this is that the humans were thought of as being similar to the gods. Gods were portrayed as having human-like bodies. They also had their own personalities and flaws, just like humans. There were many statues of Greek gods throughout Greece. They showed the gods resembling humans. This is an ancient Greek statue of Zeus, the king of the gods and the god of the sky. This is Hera, the wife of Zeus and the goddess of women and marriage. This is Poseidon, the god of the sea. He is holding a trident in this sculpture, which is often used as a symbol to represent him. This is a statue of Athena, the goddess of wisdom, strategy, and skill. Statues of the gods would often be placed in temples where people would go to worship and perform ceremonies. Many Greek statues came from the styles of Egyptian statues. An example is the Greek Kouros statues, which evolved from Egyptian statues in which the figure has one foot forward. There are many pieces of Greek-like art found outside of Greece. The people who made them were influenced by the ancient Greeks. My uncle, who lives in Philadelphia, filmed some of the artifacts from the University of Pennsylvania Museum of Archaeology and Anthropology. The footage shows how widespread the artifacts are. This is a Roman statue of Dionysus, or Bacchus as the Romans called him, the god of wine and parties. This is a statue from eastern Libya that portrays Aphrodite, the goddess of love. This statue was purchased in Cairo and portrays the head of Athena. The Greeks also made vases with pictures from mythology. In this vase, Hercules is portrayed fighting a creature called the Nemean lion. Here, the goddess of victory, Nike, is portrayed. The Renaissance was a European cultural movement that occurred from about the late 1300s to the early 1600s. In this time, there was a reawakening of Greek-like art and thought. Much of the art and architecture of this time was influenced by Greek mythology. Renaissance artists made artwork that resembled ancient Greek art and focused on Greek mythology. Much of the artwork can still be seen today and affects modern art. In this way, Greek mythology influences modern artwork indirectly through the Renaissance. Michelangelo was a painter and sculptor of the Italian Renaissance. He made many artworks involving Greek myths. This is a relief that he made at age 17, named the Battle of the Centaurs. This painting is called Hercules and the Hydra, and shows the hero Hercules fighting the Hydra, a serpent-like monster with multiple heads. The Hydra grows more heads every time one is cut off. This painting was made by Antonio del Palaiuolo. Figures were often shown in the guise of Greek gods or heroes in the Renaissance and in later European art. This painting was made by Toussaint Dubriel and shows Henry IV, the King of France, from 1589 to 1610, as Hercules slaying the Hydra. The king is portrayed as a hero because he granted religious liberties to the Protestants in France. This painting is called The Birth of Venus and was made by Sandro Botticelli. It shows Venus, or Aphrodite, ascending from the ocean. She is often portrayed as arriving into the world in this way. Neoclassicism was another revival of Greek art and architecture that occurred in Europe from roughly 1785 to 1820. Much more Greek-influenced artwork was created in this time. Greek thought and mythology continued its path through Western society. This is the period in time when John Keats wrote his poetry. One of the poems that involves Greek mythology is called Ode on a Grecian Urn. Here is the first stanza of the poem.
Thou still unravished bride of quietness, thou foster child of silence and slow time, sylvan historian who canst thus express a flowery tale more sweetly than our rhyme. What leaf-fringed legend haunts about thy shape, of deities or mortals or of both in Tempe or the dales of Arcady? What men or gods are these? What maidens loath? What mad pursuit? What struggle to escape? What pipes and timbrels? What wild ecstasy?
This neoclassical sculpture is called Daphne, chased by Apollo, and was created by Guillaume Cousteau the Elder. It shows the nymph Daphne being chased by Apollo, the god of light, music, poetry, and healing, who was in love with her. Guillaume Cousteau the Younger was the nephew of Guillaume Cousteau the Elder, and also made Greek-influenced art. This statue shows Vulcan, or Hephaestus, the god of fire and the blacksmith of the gods. Antonio Canova was a famous sculptor of the period who created several sculptures focused on Greek mythology. This is a statue that he made called Perseus, which shows the hero Perseus holding the head of Medusa. Medusa was a gorgon, a monster with the body of a woman and snakes for hair. A person who looked at a gorgon would turn to stone. This sculpture was also created by Antonio Canova and is called Psyche, revived by Cupid's kiss. It shows Cupid, or Eros, the god of desire, kissing his lifeless lover, Psyche, to bring her to life. Another painting in this period shows the god of the underworld, Hades, abducting Persephone, who was the daughter of Ceres, the goddess of agriculture. The maker of this painting is unknown. This painting was made by John William Waterhouse in the late 1800s. It shows the first woman, Pandora, opening the box that contained all of the evils of the world. By giving in to curiosity and opening it, she unleashed them so that they would forever torment humanity. The paintings and statues that you have seen are just some of the examples of Greek influence in art over the years. These artworks are still admired today, and many new pieces of art are created in this age that are influenced by Greek mythology, either directly or through art in Europe during the Renaissance or Neoclassic periods. Architecture in the U.S. is very much influenced by Greek temples. The fact that both include columns around the side and often statues on the inside enforces this idea. They also both have similar structure, shape, and carvings on the outside. Here are some architectural pieces that were created in the Neoclassical period. The Brandenburg Gate was created by Karl Gotthard Langhans. It was based on the Propylaea, a gateway to the Acropolis in Athens. The Propylaea was thought to be a gateway that allowed the Acropolis of Athens to claim the protection of the gods. Leo von Klenze was a Bavarian architect and painter. He was one of the most prominent architects of the Neoclassical period. One of his most famous works was the Valhalla. It is a monument in Regensburg, Germany that resembles ancient Greek temples. It has Greek-like columns around the sides and carvings on the top. It was based on the Parthenon, a famous temple in Athens dedicated to Athena. The Valhalla is dedicated to the Norse gods. It also commemorates famous authors, scientists, artists, politicians, and other personalities in German history. Greek temples have also affected American architecture. Many early American buildings borrow from ancient Greek buildings. The Capitol is the place where the United States Congress meets. Its columns and structure resemble ancient Greek temples. The White House, where the president and his or her family live and work, has a similar style. The architectural style of ancient Greek temples is present in Charlotte as well. This is the old county courthouse. The style of the columns, as well as the way they are spaced out, and the symmetry of the building, are some of the qualities that are taken from Greek temples. These columns are called Corinthian columns. This style was rarely used by the ancient Greeks, but was found in some temples. These statues at the intersection of Trade and Tryon streets are examples of the Greek-influenced style of sculpting. These statues are carved and presented in a way that resembles ancient statues of gods and heroes. This is the federal courthouse in Charlotte, where people are taken to be charged for federal crimes. Again, there are Greek columns, and the building is roughly symmetrical. The Charlotte National Building has a similar style. My aunt, who lives in Washington, D.C., got footage of the Lincoln Memorial. This memorial was created by Henry Bacon and honors Abraham Lincoln, the president who defeated the South in the Civil War and ended slavery. The building resembles Greek temples so much that it could even be argued to be a temple to the President in the United States. There are carvings on the top part of the building that resemble the carvings of the gods on the top part of Greek temples. The statue of Lincoln on the inside resembles ancient Greek statues of gods. An inscription over the statue enforces the idea that the building is a temple. The monument remains an important symbol of the United States. It is even found on American coins and bills. Many Greek temples look like the Lincoln Memorial and had large sculptures inside that resembled the statue of Lincoln.